met. Yes. I mean, we know the business side. Listen to this.
Well, as you can see from my accent, I was not born here. I was born in the Philippines.
Woo.
Yes. Oh, Filipino? Great. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. My father was a little bit like Mr. Lewis. He was orphaned when he was 11, and he was living, or his mother said, go with a rich uncle, which is a customary when you go to the rich uncle so that you can continue your high school studies. And in his mind, he was going to be a lawyer. But because he was poor, he did not finish law. And so when he got married, he had 5 children. I was the first daughter. And he was the one who selected that I will be the lawyer. I said, why? Maybe I guess he saw I'm a little bit more talkative, aggressive, daring, So, okay. So when I passed the bar in the Philippines, he was so happy. He said, go around the world and then come back here, we'll start your career. What was his career for me? Again, his dream. He wanted to be a lawyer, he wanted to go to politics, so I will be the one. In fact, he already had it in his mind, so when I was 7 years old, he built up a movie house in our province named Loida Theater, so that when I run for public office, I already have name recognition. While I was in New York, so I arrived in September, my sister who was studying at Columbia University will graduate in May. So what will I do? Let me find a job. On Village Voice, Civil Rights Research Council. Civil rights, I like that. So I said, I am a law student, not a lawyer, because otherwise you're overqualified. No. And my boss was a Harvard Law graduate, African American. And so I said, well, I'll introduce my sister, Melly. My boss was fast. They were going out on the date that weekend. And so on Friday, he said, Loida, do you want a double date, your sister and me, and a classmate of mine and you? So I said, blind date, why not? Called up Reg Lewis. Reg, double date, blind date. And if you know any lawyer working as an associate in a big law firm, they work 12, 15, 16 hours a day because as you work, so you are billed. Okay, they bill you per minute. No, I cannot go, sorry. And then Ray Glover said, oh, that's too bad, Reg. She comes from the Philippines. Wait, I've never dated an Oriental before. I'm coming. Again, for you, don't be afraid of new things. And that first date, you will say, did you fall in love? No, I'm not the kind. I don't fall in love easily. In fact, in my mind, I'm not getting married. I'm going to follow my father's ambition, go to politics, go all the way maybe to senator. But I must say, that first meeting, we talked nonstop. Okay? Whatever I said, he had something to say. Whatever he said, I have something to say. But there was one thing that impressed me. When I was going to talk about race relations, he was African American, he brushed it aside. I'm international. I'm international. In other words, don't deal with me as a black man, I am international. So in his mind, he's already out there, and sure enough, 20 years later, he was international. And that's how we met, on the blind date.
It's interesting because I did a little research before we came here on Mercy. And Mercy was, founded on a spiritual base. And I was looking at your mission statement about innovation and motivated students and transforming lives. And the wonderful thing about it, as you greeted us here, is that it's not even about color. It's not about socioeconomic level. It's about what's in here. And your tenaciousness, which is your sign over here, and what you thrive for, what you strive for, how you thrive. So if you take away even one thing from Reginald F. Lewis today, take away that you make the difference. You make the difference. You have an opportunity to learn. It's an exceptional opportunity. And what Mrs. Lewis can share with you on how he designed the deal, on his failures, and how he did a paradigm shift in his thinking of how he needed to change some things to make it work. It's just so important. And I would like for her to share a little bit of that with you now.
When he was a lawyer, first he worked in a big law firm. But in a big law firm, you work so many hours. And if they do not think that you're going to be partner, they tell you immediately. So in his second year, he was already told that if he wants, he would have a teaching job in Connecticut that they have a contact with. So very low expectation for him. He said, no, thank you. He was going to establish his own law firm. And he was able to make an arrangement with a foundation to fund the law firm for 1 or 2 years as they build their business. And believe me, when that foundation, when the funding ended, so he was on his own, we would have very difficult time. I was already working with immigration. So our division of labor is, he takes care of the big stuff, I'll take care of the household. And sometimes I would write a check to pay for our pork chops, to pay for chicken in a butcher shop, and then I would be called, Mrs. Lewis, your check bounced, insufficient funds. So I would go again and either pay cash. In other words, there were hard times. Don't think that just because he reached the top, we did not have hard times. I had insufficient funds, checks this thick, because I would issue it and then it would, I never balanced my checkbook, okay? Don't follow me. Balance your checkbook. My point is that there were hard times during the beginning. He was very successful as a lawyer. We have a brownstone in Manhattan, our own home. We had a summer house in East Hampton. He was driving a Mercedes-Benz, but in his mind, this was not enough. Okay? He was going for merger and acquisition. And this is where I tell people, you're thinking of the $1 billion deal? The first deal he wanted to buy, $3 million of Park sausages, failed. He had the money in his bag to turn over to the lawyer, and he was told, sorry, sold already. They did not believe that he could do it. Second failure was a group of, I think it is television station up in upstate Northeast, around 50. He was trying to get the money together, sold, another failure. The third failure was a furniture company in San Francisco, in California, for $8 million. He was able to get the financing together, and then on the day of closing, the money was in the bank to be transferred to the owner. The owner said to everybody, oh, I'm not going to work for you. You want me to keep 2 books, one for IRS and one for ourselves, which was a lie. And naturally, when Mr. Lewis heard it, curses, blip, what? You blip, 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 blip. You can see each one cursing the other. The deal fell. 18 months of work down the drain. And he said when he came home, he didn't tell me, but he wrote about it. He was very close to a nervous breakdown. But did that stop him? No. Did he say, oh, that failed because he was racist? It's true. For me, the white man who owned the furniture company didn't want to work for him. But he did not say racism, inefficiency of the lawyers in his law firm. He didn't point fingers to everyone. That's your fault. He pointed 3 fingers to himself. It's my fault. 3 times failure, I'm doing something wrong. And so how do you solve that? Look at all the successful people who have been doing leverage buyout. You know, Henry Kravis, Sir Jimmy Goldsmith, Ron Perelman. So he studied. He read all their books like a novel. And then he understood why he failed. He was doing everything himself. He was his own lawyer. His law firm was his own lawyer. He was his own investment banker to get the deal together. He was his own accountant looking at their books. So he was doing everything himself, and nobody was in his corner. And so the next deal that came along, McCall Pattern Company, for $22 million, he hired his old law firm, Paul Weiss. He hired Bear Stearns as investment banker, and he hired, I think it's Deloitte and Touche, so that they are all invested in him. And so for all of you, if you are ambitious, always establish ties, network, because you never know when you will know them. And that means you treat everybody with respect. Whether they are janitors, whether they are up high there, you treat them with respect and with dignity, because you never know when you need them. And that's how he did his first leverage buyout. 22 million, zero down payment. Well, not quite true. He had to give a down payment of $1 million. We are successful, but you don't accumulate $1 million. We may have a house in the Hamptons and all that. You have to sell it all to get $1 million. And how did he do it? He went to his banker, JP Morgan, and he said, I need this much money as down payment. And Bob Winters said, all right, Reg, you have been coming here for the past 10 years. Each year, you would show me your business plan, and every year you come back, you exceed your business plan. The first year, second year, third year, 10 years. Because you have a track record of honesty, capability, integrity, and result, I'll lend it to you. But how will you pay me? Of course, he knew how to pay, because if you are the deal, you are the sponsor, you put the deal together and you have a contract, you get a sponsor fee. And sure enough, the deal closed. In 21 days, he paid back JP Morgan, whatever is owed. So again, lesson for you if you're in business, your contacts, you never know when you will need them. And have them, their calling cards, have a notebook, write down where you met them, because again, you cannot do it by yourself. You always need people around you. You always need those who will help you along the way if you want to be successful.
To whom much is given, much is expected. Why don't you share with them the wonderful accomplishments and philanthropy that you've already given?
Okay. When we got married, on our first Christmas, I saw him write a check, just $10 for a church, St. Edward's. So he had a habit already of giving. And that came again from his family, his mother, his grandparents. They would always be expected to be helping other people. So when he was able to afford it, he gave Harvard Law School the largest donation of anyone in Harvard Law School's history, $3 million. They were very happy. They named Reginald F. Lewis International Law Center after him. So that's one. Second, before he died, he said, I want $5 million for an African American Museum of History and Culture. He died in 1993. In 2002, there was a newspaper item in Baltimore saying that the legislature of Maryland allocated $32 million to build a museum of African American history and culture. Same name that he wrote down. So Beverly Cooper, his aunt, who was running the foundation, Reginald F. Lewis Foundation, asked them, well, Mr. Lewis allocated $5 million. For that, what do we get? Well, for $5 million, we will name the museum after him. Even in death, a leverage buyout. For $5 million, a $32 million building was named after him. So we have continued his gift giving. We have given also